Kapta, we have to cook an application.
Ma che there's are you saying we already published it?
We can have a tour then?
Ah, that's possible. Let's start from the beginning.
Okay. Well, if you saw our previous episodes, you know what we're talking about. But if not, in previous videos, we shared some quizzes powered by a custom web app.
We called it Mackie Quiz. It's not perfect, and it has a lot that can be improved. Yeah, we know it. But we need it in a short time.
Fun fact, while we were developing it, we discovered that YouTube launched their own in-video quizzes feature, but
We already started, and we thought this is a good real-world example for React. It is available on GitHub, link in the description. So let's have a tour there. Okay, we go to the SRC, that is the interesting part. Okay, like all the React application, we start from the index. The index has a router and load the app and the style and so on.
what's
Nothing
a router?
special. It's what allows you to navigate the page. In this case, we use an Hash router. You can see it is an Hash router because the page is hosted on GitHub, so we don't have, for example, moderate write and so on. So we use the hash router to allow navigation without all the complication of having a web server that
Okay.
allows us to do moderate write. Okay. And here we have the app and the navbar, we have the routes, we have the footer, and so on. The routes are the index page that has a small quiz list and nothing special.
That's it?
A small quiz list, yeah. And we have the quiz page that is the real edge part of the application where you take the real quiz. Okay, the quiz page is interesting because you use a context that is the quiz context, and is where all the business logic is. You have, data structure for the quiz. The quiz is really simple. Have a name, have an intro, have a question. The question have the answers, can be multi, have a heading that is the real question. The answer has the answer, that is the answer.
Yeah.
And so on. You have some data that is used to keep this track of the response. We have all the things that we need for quiz.
Okay.
We have a quiz state. That is the main state of the application. This is the data structure of the quiz state, and is the state that we update when we load the quiz, when you update an answer, when we want to move to one question or another, and so on.
Okay.
And also we have the quiz index, that the question index, sorry. That is important because this one keep track of what question are you taking in that moment, and if you are at the end or at the intro of the quiz. The intro is a small page that explain what quiz is about, and the result, obviously, show your score. The
Okay.
questions, I think that I didn't need to explain.
That's it.
Okay. Yeah. Then we have two contexts. One that is data context and one that is a quiz handler context.
You kept
the
that
handler-
clean.
Yeah, absolutely. Or at least I try.
Look at the episode where he explains why you should keep them separate.
Yeah. And probably at the end of this video, you discover also when you have not to separate.
Yeah.
But don't spoil it.
No spoilers.
Okay, the handler obviously have all the method that manipulate the state, and the quiz context have a processed way of processed version of the state that have this information. For example, I have a quiz question, the current question. Sorry, quiz is everywhere, but this is the current question. Where for simplicity, you put in that the question pointed by that index. Okay, but
Okay.
again, look at the code is in GitHub. I don't want to go in all the detail. Okay, if you have some problems, some question, leave a comment.
Yes.
Okay, in the provider you have the load function. It's really simple. We have a folder with all the YAML of the quizzes, and you fetch that YAML. Then you convert it into JSON, put it in the state, and if there is an error, for now, we say that it's not perfect, so we console log the error.
As we said before, there are places where we could improve.
Yeah. Okay, you have an effect to load the quiz when you receive your quiz ID. That is a parameter of the URL. Then we have the handler. So we have the show intro that shows the intro, the change question that change the question, and the toggle answer that set the answer that you click on, and it manages if it's a single answer or a multi answer. And then you have the finalize that do all the calculation, get the result, and bring you the result. Okay. Here we have the section part. As we said before, the sum of the information is calculated for the context with this memo. Use always the memo to avoid the context to trigger without any reason. And in that data, we process some information and extract some information from the state to make it more comfortable to use in our application.
Okay.
And then we have the hook that extract the value. Okay, that's easy. And now, before go to the pages, we take a fast tour. This is the components of the application. We have a navbar, we have the question navigator, and markdown contents. Yeah, the markdown content is the only one that is interesting probably to see, that contains the syntax highlighter, for example, for our questions.
And it's also more complicated because I wanted nice things, and so we have a non-standard extension to Markdown to have code highlighting also in the inline code. Sorry.
We remember some pull request about you.
Yes.
No, made by you. Sorry. Not about you. No, not so sorry. I'm happy to have some pull request.
Yeah.
The work is already done.
Config.
That is really simple. Yeah, it's really simple. Only the title.
So many config.
One. Then we have the hooks. I don't go in the detail now. And then we have the pages. The pages is where all the code get together.
Let's say the presentation code lives.
Yeah, exactly. It's the presentation part of our code. The business logic is the context, obviously, in that case. Okay, here we have the context that wrap the quiz page container and get an ID from the param of our application, from the URL of our application. And the quiz page container, in that case, we made the quiz page and the quiz page container wrapped around the provider, because if you don't wrap in that way, you are unable to access the context. Doing that in that way, in the quiz page container, you can use the hooks. Exactly. In that case, it's below the quiz provider, so you can use the hooks. Okay, and here we use the quiz context. So we get the name, the index, the total question, the section that we use to get the current section, the current content component. So we have the quiz intro, the quiz question, and the quiz result, and then we have the navigator.
Okay.
We use the handler for navigation. We have the show intro, the change question, the finalize, and also we set the page title using the name of the quiz. Now, we see that hook later.
Okay, let's see the intro.
Okay. The intro. Oh, yeah. Let me...
It's the easiest one.
Okay. Yeah. Here we have the intro. The intro gets the content from the context and then put it in the markdown content to render it. Easy peasy. Then we have the... Yeah, make me explicit. Then we have not the quiz result, but yeah, we're already here. We have the quiz result. That is the last page where you get all the results and we show it your progress. It's your progress. And then we have the question. The question is, one, the question, and two, also the results of the the quiz at the same time. In the question, you get the use quiz, you get the current question index, the current question with the structure it, we get heading, the multi, the answer, and so on. The answers are measured in that way. We get all the answers, and we create a component that is answer item, and we pass it.
I think that the interesting thing here is that the quiz question component is reused both when you're taking the quiz and later when you are reviewing your good answers and your mistakes. Few mistakes or none of them, but that's where it is interesting. We just reuse the same component, and based on the configuration, we know how to change we know how to reuse the same overall structure.
Exactly, all with the context. And then for the answer, we map all the answers with that component, and we pass the answer. So we pass it, and we not get it from the context, because in that case, it's a lot of overkill to put all the answers in a context. Doesn't make sense in that case. But in the context, we use the toggle answer from the context handler, from the handler of the context, because that one is obviously our business logic and is only in one point. And then I think that for the quiz page is all okay. Then the index page. The index page is very, very, very easy. We have some loading state, some error state, and an empty state for when no quizzes are present, and we have also the page that is the quizzes list. This is for the quizzes component. The quizzes component is used inside the page where we have also some items surrounding it, like the app title, the logo, or the channel links. But how we get the quiz?
I don't see a context here, Kata.
Yeah, because it doesn't need a context. All the quizzes are get using this hook, and this is the reason why I don't show it before. I don't want to spoil it. Okay, in that case, we have a so simple case that the context is a little bit overkill. You could always put a context. You are always in time to refactor that code and use it, but for now, we doesn't need it. So we use that context that is really simple. It fetch, we see it in a few times, but it fetches the quiz list and sets some state for loading data and error. Okay, let's go to that one. Here it is. Here we have the use quiz list and use effect that get That's one. And then set the state. Also, we added the short delay just for showing the loading screen. That is really nice.
We spent so much time on that joke.
Yeah. So this is not an error. We do it.
That is
with
part of the
consciousness.
joke.
Yeah. And then, last but not least, we have the use page title. That is a simple hook that triggers when you pass a title to update the title of our browser.
Okay.
Nothing special. Fun fact, and Carlo hates me for that, also the app title, but not with the constant, is hard-coded inside the index HTML,
Why?
HTML page.
Why?
because we are, I don't know.
Reasons.
And that's all, folks.
Well, we'll not go further into details.
Yeah. Feel free to take a look and leave question or comments.
See you next time, folks.
Bye.